Welcome back to PrepperNow. We're going to be talking about, well, the big breaking news. Joe is out. It is now going to be Kamala versus Trump. Things are already going on. I'm going to go through everything. I've been tabulating. I was actually on the road coming back from dropping the kids off at a camp. So we're in the middle of nowhere, and thankfully I've got excellent people out there that are watching when I can't be watching. And one of them texted me immediately as it went down, and we went to town and started doing our thing. And for the last hour car ride home, I have basically tabulated everything that has gone on, and it'll be up to the minute. So you will get the most, latest news on all this. This is already posted to Substack. For those that want to read it and follow the different links and everything else, you can go to Substack. I am preppernow.substack.com. If you would like to go there and get a transcript of some of the things they're going to be reading here, I will read, of course, from there. But they have all the links, and that's the important part, so you can follow things on your own because, well, you're a big, smart person, and you don't need anybody to tell you what to think. You can handle it. So, about, hour and a half ago, roughly 2 o'clock, it started to break out that Joe was going to leave the race. And this has been going on. We'll give you a little bit of backstory. Of course, the week of the last week of June, you had the terrible performance by Joe on the debate stage, and people were wondering, first and foremost, is he okay? He had a lot of slurred words. I mean, he's always been known for his gaffes, but this was an extra poor performance, and basically Orange Man Bad ran circles around him, and it really was almost at sometimes to watch pathetic. And so, you're watching all this, and you're seeing it, and you're thinking, what are the implications going to be? Next day, it started to come out that there were people that were reconsidering and thinking that Joe might not be the proper person for the election for the Democrats. And then all of the talking heads and the spin masters, spin doctors that were out there on the major television news stations started to talk and do their thing and create the buzz. And then from there, the bigwigs in the Democratic Party started to go to town and talk about all this, and the plan was formed. And then from there, it was heard that Barack Obama was possibly, considering trying to talk to Joe, or had talked to Joe. Pelosi had supposedly talked to Joe. Numerous other major Democrats started to come out. Adam Schiff came out. Chuck Schumer came out. And all these people started to talk about, him possibly leaving the race. And why is that? Because he was really considered by many people not to be up to snuff. And so it was probably a hit to his ego, but he obviously was having some issues with all this. And the more people talked and the more things got going and into around him by the pressure from the Democratic Party and the Democratic elite, it pretty much became a foregone conclusion. So in the last week, there was waffling. He is going to, go this weekend. He's not going to go this weekend. He's talking to his family. His family says he's going to stay. And all of this really got swirling around. And finally, today, and it was rumored that if he was going to do it, it would be this weekend, that Joe was going to step out of the race and allow other people to come in. I'm pretty sure the DNC is towards the middle to end of August for the nominating committee. Of course, if you were here last night, I said Hillary Clinton is starting to look more and more like a potential to take over. Now, of course, it's pretty well known that Joe initially did not tap or endorse Kamala, for all of this. He basically was pretty much, I'm dropping out, and that's it. And then he came out later and said, yes, I do endorse Kamala Harris. And think about it, that would look pretty bad if the ticket didn't endorse the other side of the ticket. If his Biden-Harris ticket didn't endorse Harris to take over. So I've got a lot of stuff going on. There's people that are coming out and, of course, making statements. I've got all kinds of things we're going to go through. This is the latest up to minute. If you have ever been on this channel, you know the way I do things for the most part. Basically, I go and I get as solid and as backed up information as possible through open source intelligence sources, mainstream media, other people, analysts, Telegram, Twitter, online, netizens, web, all that. And I put it together and I give you as comprehensive of a look of everything as possible. And then we get into a little bit of analysis. I do know what I'm talking about. I have a political science degree, so funny, I always thought it was worthless, but it's starting to pay off a little bit now. Don't go there for don't go to college. And if you do go to college, don't get a political science degree. Go into engineering or do something like, I don't know, you something that's not the equivalent to underwater basket weaving is basically my degree is. So let's get started here and let's get talking about all this as the students get into the room and we start to put it together. I'm sure there's numerous other channels that are going live right now, so this won't be a super huge or a super long one. Borg's gonna Borg, and we'll just tell you all about it, and you guys can go from there and make your decisions and be the smart human beings that you are and follow the rabbit holes. But this is going to be the most comprehensive up to the minute. This is going to be all as of about 3:30 Eastern time that I've tabulated everything. So let's get going right here. This, of course, is on Substack, PrepperNow.substack.com. From there, you can follow the links. I do have links and everything else. This is from numerous sources, and we're going to put it all together in real time in a timeline kind of form so you can, see how it all unfolded as of the last roughly 90 minutes or so, okay? So strap in, hit that like button, do the subscribe thing if you are new here, darken out the bell. The people that have been here a long time will tell you that my information is usually as good as it gets. I'm not perfect by any sense of the imagination. Wouldn't think that I am. I'm a very flawed human being. But for you, with this growing channel, I really do take it upon myself to be as serious as possible. Usually, sometimes I use a little humor, to give you as good of information. Okay, I think it's never been more important, especially in the current environment where our mainstream media is really doing a lackluster job on many different fronts and seems to be only worried about the money masters in the background that are paying them to say what they want them to say. All right, so let's get going. Thank you very much for being here. Do hit all the buttons, leave a comment if you have something to add, and just tell me where you're at, something like that. Okay, that's always good, but let's get going. This is the Biden leaves the 2024 race. Substack, PrepperNow.substack.com. Let's get going. U.S. President Joe Biden has announced that he will not run for president. U.S. President Joe Biden has officially endorsed Kamala Harris. Now, this was not immediately going on. It actually took a few minutes for that to happen. He basically, as some people have jokingly said he dropped out the way that Zoomers and millennials break up, which is via text message. He released an official statement, and there's tweets and all that, but he basically said, I'm leaving, but he didn't really endorse anybody at first, and then he came out and said, I endorse Kamala Harris for the presidency of 2024, okay, for the Democratic Party. So, as of now, it is unsure if the Joe Netanyahu meeting is going to go as planned or not. This is according to CNN. This week coming up, I believe the 24th, if I remember correctly, and I'm pretty good with this stuff, Joe is meeting with Netanyahu. He's supposed to make a statement or at least a speech to the American Congress. And Speaker Johnson has basically threatened anyone that would challenge anything or say anything. People like Rashida Tlaib that would come out and be kind of nasty as he's going on, telling, his speech. So that has been a big thing in the news in the last 72 hours. And now, of course, this has just completely been a just sideswipe and taken everything. And now we'll just have to see where it goes. United States Speaker, the Democrat Party forced the Democrat nominee off the ballot just over 100 days before the election. And as we've been saying here, and if you've been following, the next 100 days or so is going to be incredibly crazy, okay? And if the last 7 to 10 days have not been an absolute proof of that, I really don't know what to tell you. So, of course, this is first and foremost a preparedness channel. I just kind of go towards the current events and happening and how you can kind of make good decisions. That's why I try to give as much information as possible. Information is key in any kind of a situation of emergency. And the next 100 days are going to be freaking nuts. So do be doing things to prep, whatever that may be, getting food. There's all kinds of implications from financials to other stuff. Of course, Friday you had the major disruption of the IT outage from the CrowdStrike fumble with the Falcon sensor thing that happened. So you having your butt together for your family and your loved ones is about as important as it's ever been in modern history, if I may. Okay? And I know a little something. I teach history for a living. Anon. Joe sending a breakup text instead of doing it in person is ironically the most relatable he's been to young voters. A little bit of humor there, but there is an element of truth. Crooked Joe, this is Donald Trump's weigh-in from Truth Social, his social media platform. He said, Crooked Joe was not fit to run for president and is certainly not fit to serve and never was. He only attained the position of president by lies, fake news, and not leaving his basement. All those around him, including his doctor and the media, knew that he wasn't capable of being president, and he wasn't. And now, look what he's done to our country with millions of people coming across totally unchecked and unvetted, many from prisons, mental institutions, and record numbers of terror. We will suffer greatly because of the presidency, but we will remedy the damage he has done very quickly, going M to the A to the G to the A, as he always does. Mass liquidations on crypto market followed the United States Joe announcement that he wouldn't run for re-election. So there were a lot of people that were buying it up, thinking it was going to be an asset class it was going to gain because J.D. Vance and Orange Man Bad are very pro-crypto. Democrat Party is not. And so now, of course, Politico and all the betting sites are coming out saying that Kamala's going to mop up, Orange Man Bad, and she's the second coming of female Barack and all that kind of stuff. So get ready for that stuff. But mass liquidations in crypto, Bitcoin and stuff, it's down 2% last 30 minutes. That's about an hour ago. We'll see where it goes from there. But the financials are going to take effect and a hit from this as well. Orange Man Bad says Kamala will be easier to defeat. Kevin Grip, thank you so much for gifting 5 memberships. Of course, I did put this out immediately to my members on the community page about an hour ago. I think 2 hours ago when all this happened. Copper India, thank you so much, says the pieces are falling into place. Thanks for everything. Thank you so much, Copper Indio. This was put on to my members. You'll see them like Highlands Husky, Jeremy, $2 a month, background information and stuff. Not a lot, nothing overwhelming. It just kind of keeps the lights on. So I appreciate it. Donald Trump says Kamala will be easier to defeat than Joe. Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump told CNN on Sunday that he thinks Vice President Kamala will be easier to defeat in November's election than the Democratic Democratic President Joe, who stepped aside from the candidacy. CNN reporter said on X that Trump made the comments to the network shortly after Joe announced his decision. Donald also said Joe will go down as the worst president in United States history and Kamala will be even easier to defeat. Joe ironically dropped out of the presidential race on the same day as National Ice Cream Day. Jill Biden was, this is the Babylon Bee, this is a little bit of humor, but everybody's kind of weighing in, but the Babylon Bee says that Jill has formally dropped out of the 2024 presidential race, announced from a press conference that was supposed to be for her husband. Quote, I cannot in good faith or good conscience continue. She said, it goes on from there. I'm not going to read it all. Babylon Bee is a humor site, but I mean, it just shows kind of where things were for his candidacy. It really was becoming a joke to many people, and he was not a hard target for the Republicans. So the Democratic elite, the higher decision makers, they thought, you know what? We really need to go in there and intervene and get him out of there. And they've been applying pressure to him now for about a month, about 3 weeks. And obviously today he has succumbed to that pressure. So Jill said she would not seek a second term because she was tired of everyone thinking her husband was the real president. Babylon Bee, of course, is a great place for some humor. So Speaker Johnson said that Joe must resign as president immediately. He said he calls on Joe to resign as president. If Joe is not fit to run for president, he is not fit to serve as president. He must resign the office immediately. Personally, I think they shouldn't be saying that quite yet. I think they need to evolve. That's my personal political beliefs, but they're going for him. Team Trump drops its first ad targeting Kamala Harris. They were already prepared. There it is right there. Trump was basically, they knew that this was going to happen. Everybody knew. They didn't know who exactly, but they obviously have preloaded anti-Democrat presidential candidacy, ads ready to roll. So this one was the first one. This dropped about in 45 minutes to an hour ago. Hillary Clinton has also endorsed Kamala Harris. Bill and Hillary Clinton have endorsed Kamala Harris. So I thought, yesterday that, and you can still see it. It's still a possibility. But I thought yesterday Hillary was going to lay in the back and they're going to keep going and then either drop out and they'll go to the nominating thing. And it still could go that way. There is a nomination process that goes. At that point, it could go into an open nomination and then it just depends on who the delegates go to. There was a big piece on The Hill yesterday from an opinion writer saying basically that they believe that Hillary Clinton would have the best chance to beat Donald Trump. And of course, it would be a redo of the 2016 election where Hillary got the popular vote, but inevitably lost the election due to our electoral system and the way we do it, which is important because it represents everybody across the board. So, and it's in the Constitution, so it's not going anywhere. So that's the other thing. And of course, the Democrats have said they want to get rid of the Electoral College because, to them, it's just a way to lose elections. But if you know the way it works, it basically makes it so they have to consider the whole country from rural America, west and east, instead of just the main population centers for a popular vote. So, statement by the Clintons. Here it was. It says, President Joe has capped his extraordinary career of service with a presidency that has lifted America out of an unprecedented demic, created millions of new jobs, rebuilt a battered economy, strengthened our democracy, and restored our standing in the world. Please excuse me as I vomit in my mouth real quick. Strengthened our democracy, restored our standing in the world. Okay? By any measure, he has advanced our founders' charge to build a more perfect union and his own stated goal of restoring the soul of our nation from the very people that would really like to see most of the Constitution be rewritten into a way that I don't think much of us would like. We join millions of Americans in thanking Joe for all he has accomplished, standing up for America time and again, with his North Star always being what was best for the country. We are honored to join the president in endorsing Vice President Harris, who will do whatever we can to support her. I would imagine that was written while Hillary was literally biting her lip. And again, do not discount her. She's not out yet, folks. And they're going to see how things go. There's always going to be a bump to a candidate as they announce. But as this couple weeks goes, if she starts to get hammered by the Trump campaign and really starts to have her numbers slip because she's not up to snuff, and there's not a lot of, fantastic things that she accomplished as vice president. A lot of people were aggravated when she was put into the czar, the CZAR, as they call it, TSAR, depending on how you like to spell that, of the new neighbors in the South. She was supposedly put in charge of that, and of course, here we are many months and years later with absolutely terrible results going down there. So Clintons go on to say, we've lived through many ups and downs, but nothing has made us more worried for our country than the threat posed by a Trump term. And again, I wish they would get rid of this. This is kind of why we have the other terrible happenings that happened 8 days ago, last Saturday in Butler, Pennsylvania. When you call people a threat, that is really kind of over the... I just don't think any of them should do it. Claude Ortega, thank you very much. Of course, yes, I'm trying to be as thorough as possible, so I really appreciate that, sir. So they call him a threat, of course, and that's kind of a problem, because there are true believers out there that are going to think that doing or trying and attempting to do what the kid last week did, as far as we know, it makes the mentally unstable think that they're going to be doing great things for the world when actually all they're going to do is turn it on its ear. But he has promised to be a dictator on day one. Again, terrible language. Recent ruling by his servile Supreme Court, will embolden him to further shred the Constitution. Oh my gosh. Now this is the time to support Kamala and fight with everything we've got to elect her. America's future depends on it. When the Supreme Court weighs in and does what it's done, and goes through the proper processes, that is literally what the Constitution has laid out for us to do. Checks and balances and stuff. I know a little something about this. I was for many years an American government teacher. So, again, I disagree with that language. So, you can say he's, bombastic. You can say that, he's a terrible leader. You can say, all kinds of stuff. There's numerous things they can say without making people think that literally like the entire world is going to end if he takes office, because they tried that in 2016. And then most people, why they are, and right now he's polling very well, most people are into another presidency with him because they've been there. They've done that. They've seen what it is for him to be president, and it wasn't, awful. I mean, most of us wish he'd just rule and keep his dang mouth shut half the time, but that's the way he is. He's a fighter. It is what it is. It's like having your favorite uncle who gets a little too tipsy at Thanksgiving, says what everybody else is thinking, but doesn't want to say. I mean, that's kind of having him as president. However, we were much more prosperous, it seems, and that's my opinion, at that time than we are right now. People are really getting hammered by inflation, but of course that is a Federal Reserve thing and not really up to the presidency. I move on. Joe is not fit to run for president means he's not fit to serve as president. That's U.S. House Speaker Johnson demanding that Joe resign immediately and not stay in the White House until Election Day, stressing date of election November 5th can't arrive soon enough. Foreign Minister Zakharova from the Russians, they weighed in and said, with the advice and investigation into U.S. recent political show, said after Joe's withdrawal from the election, there should be an investigation into collusion of American media and political circles. They have hidden the true state of affairs about his mental state, manipulating public opinion, and playing along with one political party. And that is, of course, Zakharova. And, it is what it is. So, that is everything as of 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. There's Mr. Joe right there, folks. From here, it just gets crazy, okay? I mean, and we say that, and everyone's, it's going to be fun. I mean, think about where we are right now, folks, to where we were in 2019, okay? Think about where we were in 2014. We're in uncharted territory, waters, whatever you want to say, as a country. The political rhetoric is now to the point where it literally inspires the most horrid of potential outcomes. We have really gotten to a place where people need to kind of tone it down. But, you know, I mean, we live in an internet world, and there are, you know, the news cycle is 24/7, and everybody is, you know, in a pretty rough spot. And so let's bring it back to the whole prepping thing. Joe is not doing well because of inflation. And again, that's a Federal Reserve thing. It really is what it is. They did the stimulus packages, which, you know, happened under both parties. And they got out there, and it made our inflation go gangbusters. And then everything else, the supply chain, you know, the 2022 SMO in Russia and Ukraine. Now in 2023, you've got Israel versus Gaza and all that. And then yesterday, major strike on Yemen, which means it's going more regional. Asia is on the precipice as well. You've got China staring down Taiwan. I mean, there's just a whole bevy of issues that are going on everywhere, okay? And I literally teach World War for a living, okay? This is what it looks like and feels like to be in the pre-run-up to global conflict. Today it came out, and I haven't done the crisis report. I've tabulated almost all of it, and I was going to add this, but I decided to separate it and do it over here. But Erdogan came out and said that they want to basically create their own side of things on Cyprus and create their own bases. So you'll means that the island of Cyprus that 50 years ago basically got taken half of it by the Turks, and the other half is by the Greeks, who are not really in love with each other. You know, there's a bit of a squabble going on with that. I mean, it's just everywhere. There's conflict everywhere. Venezuela and Essequibo in South America, there's conflict there. Mali and Burkina Faso and Sudan and Niger, all of those countries in the Sahel of Africa, they are having major issues going on. The Koreas are literally threatening nukes to each other every single day. Philippines and China are in a dust-up, and sometimes involves Vietnam as well, as the South China Sea is trying to be annexed entirely over China, who is, of course, trying to put their political mushroom stamp onto everything. And then you take on the financial stuff. 40 banks in China in the last month or so, few months, have been taken over by other larger banks because they're effectively insolvent. America, our banks are not doing so hot. The regionals are in a terrible state from all of the commercial-backed mortgage, the securities. You had the mortgage-backed securities in 2008. Now it's the commercial mortgage-backed securities that are really at the precipice of collapsing in on themselves and taking us into another financial crisis. Friday, you had the global IT outage. They are still dealing with that. All of that going on. The blue screen of death. Just going nuts. I mean, it is literally crazy right now on so many different levels. So you need to be doing things. You need to be prepping. You need to be, putting food away. You need to get it ready. You need to have cash out. If the ATMs don't work, you should have a little bit of gas. Or at least keep your cars filled up, if not half full. And you don't got to break the bank. You don't got to do, crazy, nutty stuff. This isn't paranoia. Because there were people on Friday that couldn't get gas, couldn't withdraw money, couldn't access accounts, and couldn't do stuff. There were people that were scheduled for surgery, couldn't have the surgery. There were people that were scheduled to fly, couldn't fly. There were issues with the Coast Guard. I mean, if you didn't take Friday as a warning shot, I don't know what to tell you. And also you have to take into consideration through all this, with this man right there, stepping down effectively and only doing one term, whether he steps and resigns, I don't think he will, but that'll be the next, craziness in the news cycle. There are precipices of war all over the place. And if we don't have a strong America guiding us through what they have affectionately called the Pax Americana since World War II, well, I mean, the world is going to go sideways. You will see Venezuela try to take Essequibo. You will see the different countries of the Sahel devolve into fighting, because ECOWAS, the Northern Africa economic zone, and the basically the peace of there, that's going to crumble. You'll potentially see China go after Taiwan. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but it's totally potential. It's totally a possibility. So we need effective and strong leadership right now more than ever. And the further, the closer we get to November 5th, the more and more things get crazier. The more this kind of stuff happens. So I really, really am telling you folks, you need to be doing stuff. My wife had a medical issue about a week ago, and it's still kind of manifesting itself. But the reason why we didn't have to deal and go to our doctor and do everything is because we have medicines here at the ready. We have a full line of antibiotics and other things to deal with everything from Lyme disease to walking pneumonia and everything in between. We've got doxycycline and Augmentin here ready to go. We've got all the meds and everything else, because imagine what would happen if everything went dark and you really needed a medical situation. That's why it's important to have meds. It's important to have bandages. It's important to know your neighbors. We're fortunately to be around the people across the street, and sometimes it sucks, but, they're always working on cars. They know cars. People next to them, the guy's a gunsmith. People next to them, she's a master gardener who came over and actually has helped. You should see her flowers and the beautiful fruit that she grows. So know your neighbors. Maybe one of them's a nurse and you didn't know it, and you've got a major issue that goes down, and you need them to come over and look because your kid was twisted the crap out of your ankle and you can't take him anywhere because nothing's open because you got a blue screen of death everywhere. I think it's been proven in the last 4 years at least, if not 10 years, that literally everything is all bets are off. And that's not paranoia. It's good to have preparedness in your life. It's good to be able to handle things. It's good to know that if things go down, you can, just try to turn on, whatever kind of a communication device you have, whether that's a CB or, a shortwave radio or, an emergency radio with the NWS. It's good to know that you have got everything else on lock. And even then, you don't even know if you have it on lock. I still cite back to Southern Prepper One's video from about a week or so ago about the guy in Texas who went through barrel and was a full-on prepper, and some of his preps didn't work. They weren't enough. And he said it was a big reality check. So do things to check all that. Follow great channels. Bear Independent's a great channel. Angry Prepper's a great channel. Magic Prepper's a great channel. Pinball Preparedness is a great channel. Prepper Nation is a great channel. I also want to welcome Modern Refugee, who just passed 30,000 subscribers as well. To you, my friend, congratulations. He has a great channel. Check out his channel and learn some of the skills. That guy is a good dude, I can assure you. All these other, and put it in the thing. If you know a channel that you like, put it into the comments that I didn't mention here. Mention some of those, and I'm sure I'm good with all the preparedness community. My whole goal on this channel, folks, is two things. Well, number one, give you very good information, as reliable as it could possibly be, and if it changes, I will change with it and alert you. And number two, make your considerations all about preparation and preparedness, so you are absolutely on the ball as much as possible, and we share this information so you know where to go and how to get it, and you can learn the skills, so when these nasty things happen, you are a shining star. You got it. You can handle it, and you're going to do the best you can, and you're going to protect your family and your friends and whoever you choose to. Okay? Because that's really what it's all about. I really want to thank the people that have tipped me. I believe it was Copper, Indio, and Claude Ortega. I want to thank Kevin Grip for gifting the memberships. Please consider being a member like Troll, who's always awesome. It is a couple dollars a month. It's a great way to keep things going here on YouTube. There are other links. You can follow me on Twitter X. You can follow me on Minds. You can follow me on Gab. You can follow me on Truth Social. And then, of course, I have my communities on Subscribestar and Locals, which are about 100 strong each. Great place to go where I can put all the stuff that'll get you kicked off of Facebook if you're into that kind of information. All the things that you can't share out in the open on some of these platforms. I have that there for my community. I've already put up about 30 things in the last 30 hours or so, all of which are important, one of which shows some new information from last Saturday about another possible consideration. I won't lay it out for you, but let's just say we're living in precarious times. Friends, hit the like button, leave a comment, tell me where you're from, tell me something, and I really appreciate you being here. Keep prepping, folks. God bless. PrepperNow out.